Hey, my name is Kat Liffner, and today I'm going to do a very colorful Dutch pour. And the first step is to completely cover the canvas in your background paint. And I'm using Titanium White by Liquitex Basics. And I've mixed that with approximately 40% water, and that's it. And I'm kind of pushing the colors, the paint, over the side of the canvas here so I can cover the sides. And it's just a lot easier to do this in the beginning than try to cover the sides at the end. And this is probably super boring, so I'm just gonna speed through this part. But essentially you just want to have an even layer of the white, and the background kind of works as a kind of a vehicle for the rest of the paint to be able to move. And you don't want it too thin, because then you can see the canvas underneath it, and you don't want it too thick either, because then it doesn't move. And so you just have to kind of experiment until you get the consistency that you like. And there's no right or wrong thing in making art. It's just however you prefer to do it. And I use like a little cheap spatula looking palette knife, and I'm sure that there's easier and more effective ways to do this than this little knife, but that's all I had on hand. And you can kind of see here where I just push the paint down so it covers the entire thing. And then I'm just going to spread an even layer at the top. Alright, so the next step is to pop the air bubbles. You may not have any if you let the paint sit for a while, but I'm impatient, so I'm using my heat gun to get rid of the bubbles. And it looks kind of weird because you can't see the air bubbles pop here, but believe me, they're there. You can also use a torch, like a kitchen torch or like a creme brulee torch or whatever they label it as. Anything with heat really works. And I'm just shaking it here to even out a little bit, because I did notice that the background paint was a little bit on the thicker side. So the colors that I used here, I mixed a few different colors together. So I'm going to do my best to remember exactly what I did, because it was mostly leftovers. But this first one is Cadmium Yellow Medium Hue by Liquitex Basics, mixed with Folkart's Colorshift. And I threw away the bottle because I used it, but it was a yellow, kind of like a pastel yellow. And for this next one, it is a mixture of, believe it or not, it is a metallic gold, 24 karat gold by Decoart, with some fluorescent orange. And this red one is cadmium yellow deep hue. And just that. I didn't mix that with anything. And then I have Folkart's Colorshift in Aqua Flash. Sorry, it took me a minute. That's probably one of my favorite colors. And then I have this last one is a Phthalocyanine blue, and I put a little bit of metallic Sapphire blue in there by Decoart. And what you want to do is just take some of the background paint and just kind of push it over a little bit. It's not necessary to do that, and I don't always do that in paintings, but if you kind of want to mix the colors together a little bit, then that's a good step to do. So then you just really want to decide which direction you want to go and where to start. So I decided to start here in the middle. One thing that I try to do as much as possible is to just go over one area with the hairdryer one time. I do sometimes kind of push it over a little bit on the edges like I did here, but I try not to overwork an area too much, because that's when you start mixing the paints and it starts getting muddy. So just kind of commit with how you want it, and then you can alter it later. If you see an area where there's like a lot of paint, or perhaps you just want a little bit more spread, try to go in the same direction as you did before, so that it kind of blends together. I would say that that's probably the best advice I can give to somebody, is just don't overwork it with the hairdryer. Once you've done with the hairdryer, you can take like a straw, or you can even use just to blow it with your mouth. I don't want to dip my entire body in the painting, so I use a straw, and I kind of take a bigger straw and then I put a smaller straw in there so I have better reach. But certain areas I just like to kind of play with and get some little wispy ends, so it's kind of flows a little bit better and doesn't look so completely organized, I guess. And so I typically will just kind of tweak it a little bit, and create a little more of movement looking wispies. So what I'm doing is just very slight, you can barely see I'm doing anything, but just slight alterations to some areas where I felt like the paint just kind of abruptly ended, and so I'm just softening some of these edges here. And you can add paint to it if you feel like it's not moving very well, or if you want it to kind of blend a little bit better, you can just add a little background paint and then blow the colors kind of over it a little easier. Yeah, it looks like I'm literally just blowing nothing, but oh yeah, here, got results. Too much results. So sometimes when I don't like it, I can just dip my finger in it, and it just softens it and removes some of the edge off of the edge. Gosh, I'm really helpful. I think I'm just gonna speed this part up a little bit, because it's a slow process of doing these little alterations. I gotta say though that these colors are not colors that I particularly imagined working well together, but they work really well together. I also don't use a whole lot of red in most of my paintings, but it just kind of brought some intensity to this painting that I really like. So I'm really happy with this one. I think I'm gonna maybe try to do a couple more paintings with a little bit red in it, because this really kind of swayed me in that direction. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and I hope you guys have a great day.